In Ecclesiastes chapter 7, verse 1, I'm reading from the Message version, a good translation, not the best, but a good. Listen to what Eugene Peterson says in his interpretation. A good reputation is better than a fat bank account. Your death date tells more than your birth date. I like that translation. I'm going to read it one more time. A good reputation is better than a fat bank account. Your death date tells you more than your birth date. Guys, do the notes today song? Were we able to get the notes today? Listen to what Frank Outlaw says. Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. Watch your actions. They become habits. Watch your habits. They become your character. Watch your character. It becomes your destiny. I don't think Frank Outlaw is too far from the truth. I think he hit it right on the bullseye. See, everybody in this room wants to be remembered. And most likely you will be for at least one generation or half a generation. But everybody in this room wants to be remembered for all the good things they have done in this life. You don't want to be remembered for the bad things you've done in this life, the incriminating or shameful things you have done in this life. So how do we know empirically, through observation, that people do want to be remembered for the good things they do in this life? Many men, as they age, give tons of money to have buildings named after them, so their names will live long after their death. Walk through the University of Maryland, College Park. All those building names, Jimenez, McKeldin, those men gave large sums of money to the school so those buildings could be built, because they wanted to say, I contributed something to the welfare of society. Statues of people who have made a difference in our society have been erected. Many Christian leaders, such as myself, often talk about how we need to leave a legacy for the next generation. But if you really look at your life and you kind of break it down and you magnify it, I believe deep down inside, we all desire to be remembered by our loved ones. We want to be remembered by our loved ones. And I want to ask you this afternoon, if you died today, how would your loved ones remember you? How will others remember you? What would they remember about you? Pastor Tay told me one time that he and his staff, other pastors, sat around in a room and he asked them this question. If you were to die today, tonight, what would your family remember about you? And these pastors said all kinds of prestigious and like all these superlatives, you know, fanciful thoughts. But Pastor Tay went to these pastors' homes, his staff people's homes, and he actually interviewed the children of the pastors. And he started to ask, and he asked them the same question. He asked them, what do you remember most about your dad? What is most familiar about your dad? And one child answered, my dad comes home and watches TV all night. My dad comes home and watches TV all night. Another child says, my dad plays with the computer all night. And another kid said something very strange. He said, my dad farts on my face all the time. I don't know where that came from. But that's what the kids said. That's what these kids said. So you guys got to think. You in your mind may think, I have great character. I have credible, I have strong, substantive character. But you got to ask other people to confirm that. What do they see? Particularly the people you live with and those who know you best. We see in this passage today David, King David, and we all know him as the man after God's own heart. But David had a lot of chinks in the armor. And many of my professors at seminary would consider David, in spite of his victory over Goliath and in spite of him taking care of his sheep against beasts, for the most part, David was a coward. David was a coward. Because what is the nemesis of courage and character? It is fear. It is fear. I think David was a wimp. You know why I think David is a wimp? Because it's one thing to make a mistake. We all make mistakes. We are all flawed creatures. We are all flawed beings. We all make mistakes. I understand that. But it's another thing to hide it. You know what I'm saying? See, sometimes our character is best revealed after we make a mistake. Do we own up to it? Or do we cover it up? Everyone fails. That's inevitable. But how we fail or what we do after we fail determines whether our character can be trusted or not. Do you get what I'm trying to say? I hope you do. Listen to what this French classical writer, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I can't. French name, you know? But he just summarizes David's situation in one succinct, brilliant statement. He says, almost all our faults are more pardonable than the methods we think up to hide them. Wow. Do I have it up here? No, I don't. Listen to it again. Almost all of our faults are more pardonable than the methods we think up to hide them. If you didn't get it, what the writer is saying is, it's messed up what you did, right? The first time, like what David did to Bathsheba and Uriah, that's jacked up. But what David planned in order to cover up his sin was even more devious. Yeah, you had a lustful moment, David. You got horny and you slept with Bathsheba. Hey, men, we understand. But it's a whole nother story when you call Uriah, you try to trick him, he doesn't bite, and so you kill him. So no one can know what you did. See, that's a whole nother story. That's what this writer is saying. And today, guys, I want to share with you the main idea of our sermon. It's very simple. Can you go back real quick, Sarah? Our character is what we will be remembered by. Our character is what we will be remembered by. It's true. It will outlive us. When you're 6 feet deep, there's only one thing that's going to walk back out of that grave. It's not you. It's your character. And what's going to permeate in that funeral home and at the funeral site. It's not your jokes. It ain't how pretty or how handsome or how good you were in the bed. That's not what's going to pervade in that room. It's going to be your character. It's going to be our character. Did we compromise or were we courageous? Did we compromise or were we courageous? There are two principles I want to share from Uriah's life on how to build solid character, biblical character in our lives, Christ-like character. And the first principle I want to share is that if you want to live a lifestyle of character, peep this. You must know what your priorities are in life. My man Sam in the back and we talk about this all the time. If you want to live a lifestyle of character, you must know what your priorities are in life. When you are at a fork in the road and both Options are grand or good.